you don't play favorites, but you do love bards. Big quality of life improvements for the bard, for those checking out the new Player's Handbook, right?
The new bard has sort of the best of the 2014 bard, as well as some of the best elements of the Unearthed Arcana bard. That includes a return of the bard's dedicated spell list. We had several versions that people saw in the Unearthed Arcana series where the bard didn't have a spell list of their own and instead was leaning into other classes' spell lists. Through that process, we re-embraced the bard having their own spell list, but as we'll discuss very shortly, bards, their magical secrets ability got enhanced in important ways. That bard spell list that has returned has been beefed up thanks to new spells in this book, as well as us even taking some spells that were already in the Player's Handbook and adding them to the bard's list. And we've also given bards the flexibility that our other full spellcasters have gained with their cantrips, in that bards can now change one of their cantrips every time they level up. When it comes to their signature non-spellcasting ability, Bardic Inspiration, bards everywhere can rejoice that Bardic Inspiration now will last for up to an hour on the person that has it, rather than just 10 minutes. And that will make it far easier for people to have a chance to actually use their Bardic Inspiration. Because I know many people have had that experience where the bard gives the Bardic Inspiration, they forget to use it, and oh my gosh, the 10 minutes have passed.
Yeah.
Now you have a full hour before you're almost there and the bard player is reminding you.
Yeah.
Remember, you have Bardic Inspiration.
Yeah.
We also have taken the Bard's Expertise feature and made it so you get it sooner. You now get it at level 2. We have revised all of the subclasses and included an entirely brand new one, the College of Dance, but we'll get to subclasses in a minute. We've also made it, because we know how much bards love to use Bardic Inspiration, we've made it easier for you to get uses of Bardic Inspiration back in the Font of Inspiration feature by letting you simply burn spell slots to get it back.
Yeah.
Because we've all had that experience, whether we're playing bards or DMing for bards or our friends are playing bards, where sometimes the bard wants more uses of Bardic Inspiration more than they want to cast more of their spells.
Yeah.
And so we, recognizing that phenomenon, whether it is by observing other people's games or just playing bards in our own, that's why we wanted to give bards the flexibility to essentially exchange one of their magical resources for one of their other magical resources. This is similar to what we did in the Druid, where there again is that ability to do some exchanging, really all about making it so that players have even greater control over what their characters do on adventures. Now, we also took a look at the Bard's counter charm ability, and we decided, let's actually make this useful. And so the new counter charm ability is now a reaction that the Bard can use when someone around them is charmed or frightened. It gives them a new roll against that effect, and when they make that new saving throw, they have advantage on it. I think this is going to make counter charm see far more use than we've seen in the last 10 years. And it helps preserve a little detail that's been a part of the Bard for decades, because Bards having a counter charm ability has been a part of the class going back to the game's earliest days. Now, at level 10, Bards still get magical secrets, and this is now the feature where Bards get to dive into other classes' spell lists, and we've made a couple of important tweaks here. First, the Bard no longer can dive into any spell list in the game. And we made this change for one main reason, and that is outside of the Bard the cleric, the druid, and the wizard. Spell lists are highly tailored to a kind of niche identity when it comes to a class like ranger, paladin, artificer, to refer to a class not in the player's handbook. And so we wanted to make sure the bard was only looting the spell lists that are actually designed to be lootable.
Yeah.
That's also why the warlock is not here. The sorcerer is not here. It is really bard, cleric, druid, or wizard. These are the spell lists that we create to not only serve their classes, but also to be eminently lootable. And part of that is that the cleric, druid, and wizard spell lists in particular are the emblematic spell lists for the three main sources of magic. The wizard spell list is the emblematic spell list for arcane magic, the druid list for primal magic, and the cleric list for divine magic. People will see a similar change in the magic initiate feat, which also now does not allow you to dip into any spell list in the game. Instead, it is specifically these iconic spell lists that you can dip into. Now, even though that is a limitation that did not exist before, it is now paired with a greater amount of liberty. Because once now the bard reaches level 10, you may choose any of your prepared spells from these lists. So essentially, once you hit 10, you become, similar to the name of one of your early class features, a true jack of all trades. And so there is that little bit of constriction paired with a massive expansion in terms of versatility for the class. And it used to be that Magical Secrets gave you this versatility, but only at certain later levels. Now you can benefit from it at every level once you've received Magical Secrets.
Perfect.
Next up, we have the revised version of Superior Inspiration.
Right.
Superior Inspiration used to be at 20th level. It's now moved down to 18th level. And it used to require you to have zeroed out your Bardic Inspiration uses to get any back. That's no longer the case. Now, if you have fewer than 2, you get Bardic Inspiration back when you roll initiative until you have 2. So what that means is if you have 0 and you roll initiative, you will now have 2. If you have 1, you will now have 2.
Yeah.
So that gives you some more flexibility. It also makes this feature useful in more cases, so you will not feel the pressure to completely zero out your Bardic Inspiration uses to be able to benefit from this. And then we have a brand new feature at level 20 for bards called Words of Creation. What this means is now all bards will always have prepared, when they reach 20th level, Power Word Heal and Power Word Kill. A big part of the bard story is that they draw their magic from the words of creation that were uttered before time began to bring the multiverse into being, and that their magic harnesses these words in various ways, and that these words are often represented by spells like Power Word Heal or Power Word Kill. So we thought, let's make it so bards always have, when they reach their ultimate level, always have these spells prepared. And in addition, when a bard casts either of these spells at 20th level, they can target not just the one target the spell normally targets, they can target a second target as well. So that means the 20th level bard can Power Word Kill 2 creatures at once, but also Power Word Heal 2 friends at once.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Starting off with subclasses, it's a big deal. We've got a new bard subclass, the College of Dance.
Yes, and the College of Dance, this is a subclass we've wanted to introduce for a long time. Just because it's fun to have the dancing bard, but also this leans into an element that the bard's story text touches on in the new Player's Handbook, and that is the bard's magic, and even the magic that taps into the words of creation, those words are not necessarily verbal. That communication could be by sign, it can be by dance. There are many ways that communication is accomplished in our world, and so we wanted that to be reflected in the Bard as well. And so the College of Dance is all about not only this bard dancing, but also maybe even sometimes succeeding at getting their friends to dance with them. And that's particularly true in one of their later features. But starting right away in this new subclass, we have a feature called Dazzling Footwork. And this feature is really a package of multiple features that makes your performances better if they involve dancing. It gives you an unarmored armor class because we want a dancing bard to be able to, if they want to be dressed like a dancer, but still have a decent AC. We've also made it so that this bard, whenever they use a bonus action to confer bardic inspiration, can also make an unarmed strike. And remember, unarmed strikes aren't necessarily punches. They could be kicks or whatever else a dancer would be doing as they are leaping across the battlefield.
There are options within having an unarmed strike now that are more than just doing damage. You can push people around. You can...
Absolutely. The new unarmed strike is a package that includes 3 options: deal damage, grapple, or shove. This actually then combos with some of their later abilities, which I'll get into soon. Also, their unarmed strike deals more damage than a typical unarmed strike, because the typical unarmed strike, unless you're a monk or some other character who has an enhanced unarmed strike, typically on a hit just deals 1 damage plus your strength modifier. Not true for the College of Dance Bard, who, if you decide to deal damage with your unarmed strike, you deal bludgeoning damage equal to a roll of your bardic inspiration die, plus your dexterity modifier. And this roll of your bardic inspiration die does not expend your bardic inspiration. So now this bard gets to use their bardic inspiration die also as a damage die for the damage that they're dealing with their very vigorous dancing.
Amazing.
Then at level 6, this is when you become very capable at trying to get your friends in on the dance, and maybe you can have your whole party do a exciting flash mob inside battle. This ability is the one where whenever an enemy ends its turn within 5 feet of you, you can take a reaction, expend a use of your bardic inspiration to move up to half your speed, and then an ally of yours can also try to do the same thing. None of this movement provokes opportunity attacks. And remember, the earlier level feature is whenever you expend bardic inspiration, whether as a part of a bonus action, or reaction, you can also make an unarmed strike. So that means someone comes up close to you, you use this ability, you're not only getting to move without provoking opportunity attacks, but you also get a free unarmed strike as part of the bargain. This is very energetic dancing.
Yes.
Also, and then this is where we really, at the same level, start unlocking the ability to really help your friends get in on the action, is the new tandem footwork feature. Whenever you roll initiative, you can expend 1 use of your bardic inspiration and roll it. And then you and your allies get to add that as a bonus to your initiative. So this allows your group to leap into action potentially far sooner than they normally would in a battle. Finally, the subclass with their level 14 feature, they get the evasion ability that rogues have as well as monks, but they can share it. The College of Dance Bard, because dancing is often about dancing with someone else, if you can imagine the sort of situation we often had in mind with this is the the enemy spellcaster casts Fireball, and you and your buddy are within the blast. As long as you're near each other, you're not only going to benefit from your evasion ability, but you can confer it to the friend next to you as well.
That's amazing.
So this subclass has high mobility, speed, and also some really great interaction with their party mates.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next subclass is also new to the player's handbook, but not new to the game. So the College of Glamor first appeared in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and not only has migrated into the player's handbook, but also has actually quite a few updates to it. The new Beguiling Magic feature that you get at level 3, this actually completely replaces the enthralling performance feature that the subclass used to have. This now makes it so that you always have the Charm Person and Mirror Image spells prepared, and from now on, whenever you cast an enchantment or an illusion spell, you can choose somebody and try to charm them or frighten them. You can do this a limited number of times per day. We did this because we really wanted to enhance our original vision for this subclass, and that is of being the preeminent beguiling bard subclass. That, this is the pop star bard who is just has so much presence and also fey magic that people are just bedazzled by this bard. And so that's why we've introduced this new play option with Beguiling Magic. We also, in the Mantle of Inspiration, have increased the amount of temporary hit points that this feature provides. And then in the Mantle of Majesty, we have made it so that you always now have the command spell prepared, which this feature relies on. And we've also now given you the ability to replace restore your use of this feature by expending a level 3 or higher spell slot. This is something that we've done in a number of the features in the book that we didn't do 10 years ago in the 2014 Player's Handbook, and that is giving our spellcasting classes in their subclasses sometimes this ability to burn spell slots to get their feature back. And this was a sort of design shtick that we began experimenting with a number of years ago in products like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And we've seen people have really enjoyed having that option, and so that's why we've now included it here.
Perfect.
Then finally, in the subclasses Unbreakable Majesty, I mean, just even the name of it. When a creature hits you with an attack for the first time on the turn, the creature must succeed on a charisma save or the attack misses. This replaces the feature's original function, which was potentially causing the attacker to have to target somebody else.
Right.
This turns it into more sort of a direct interaction between the attacker and the bard, where the bard can just be like, I'm too glorious for you to harm me. Do you really want to attack the bard pop star?
Nice.
So we have the College of Lore and the College of Valor, the two returning subclasses from 2014, because let us not forget that in 2014 the Bard had only 2 subclasses.
Yeah.
So the Bard's number of subclasses has doubled in the new Player's Handbook, and College of Lore and College of Valor are our returning subclasses. College of Lore is in many ways, the classic bard.
Yeah.
This is the bard that is all about gathering stories and magic and historical information and using that to their and their friends' advantage, whereas the College of Valor is very much the warrior bard, the bard singing on the battlefield, and some cultures have called this type of bard like a skald.
Yeah.
This is the bard who is inspiring the troops. in many fantasy stories. But in the College of Lore, we have revised a number of things. So for example, the Magical Discoveries ability now functions a bit more like Magical Secrets does. It's specific to the Cleric, Druid, and Wizard spell list. But you can then replace those when you level up as a bard. So you have more flexibility. You're not only getting to dip into these other classes' spell lists, but then you can swap them out as you level up if you decide that wizard spell you selected was not turning out to be as fun as you thought it would be, and you're looking over at that cleric or druid spell you'd rather have. You have increased flexibility here as a College of Lore bard. So also, cutting words, which is this bard's iconic feature, has been enhanced in a subtle but important way, and that is it now works even on creatures who are immune to the charmed condition.
Oh, nasty. Okay.
And so used to be, particularly at higher levels, you would have that wah-wah feeling as a lore bard where you're trying to use your cutting words and it happened to be a creature that was immune to being charmed. You now don't have to worry about that.
Fantastic.
Because it really turns out, no matter what kind of creature you are, who really wants to be cut down by that sassy bard?
That's fair.
Those words cut no matter what you are. We also, in the Peerless Skill feature, have made an important improvement here. If you use your Bardic Inspiration using this feature to try to turn a failed ability or attack roll into a success, if you do not succeed at turning it into a success, your use of the Bardic Inspiration is not expended.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So this is now a feature that only gets expended if it succeeds at doing its job.
Perfect.
And we did this so that the lore bard would feel more bold about using the feature, because features like this, if they get expended, even if they do nothing, can be frustrating, and it can be very easy for a player who especially really likes shepherding their character's resources.
Yeah, you start hoarding your resources and never using it out of fear.
Exactly, and we all know that if you have an ability that you're always saving, and so you never use it, you basically don't have that ability. And so we want people to feel emboldened to use their class features.
Perfect. All right, that brings us to a very popular subclass for the bard, the College of Valor.
So the College of Valor has a major update hiding inside its extra attack feature.
Okay.
And this is the main change here, because College of Valor, super solid in 2014. And what people are going to see here is largely what they saw in 2014. But a big exception to that statement, and that is, in the extra attack feature, we have made it so that you can cast one of your cantrips in place of one of your extra attacks. So it used to be that you got extra attack, which is awesome. But what we wanted is to give you the flexibility to, through the use of that extra attack, speak to either side of your identity as a Valor Bard, whether it's your weapon use or your spell casting. And so now, similar to what you see in the Eldritch Knight, you can mix it up with your extra attack, and if you want, use a cantrip in place of one of those attacks. And so that will give you a lot more tactical versatility than you had before.
And again, speaks again to that wish fulfillment. If you are playing this type of bard, you want to be mixing magic and sword and sorcery.
And along that same theme, the other change worth noting inside the College of Valor is that they can now use simple and martial weapons as spell casting focuses for their bard spells. So what that now means is they don't have to worry about what's in their hands or not, because they can channel their magic through their weapons themselves, which is why in the art for this subclass we show we showed this bard with a shield and a blade, and given how this subclass works, this bard can cast their spell through the blade that they're wielding.
When you pre-order the digital physical bundle, you also get an exclusive digital gold dragon mini for our 3D virtual tabletop, the Dragons of D&D digital art book, 15 dice sets, 34 frames, and 15 backdrops. And if you pre-order the digital 2024 Player's Handbook on D&D Beyond, you get exclusive bonuses, 12 sets of digital dice representing each class, 10 new frames, and 5 new backdrops. And all of those Player's Handbook bonuses are available right now on D&D Beyond. You can find the links to all of that in this video description.
Thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of video content coming out about the new Player's Handbook and all the new Core Rulebooks, the new Monster Manual, the new Dungeon Master's Guide. So be sure to check out all of that content. And thank you for watching.